I'm doing a little more practice here before I jump on to the final version of old Abe here, Honest Abe. And just wanted to note a couple things that I'm kind of noticing as I'm practicing with these tools. So if you want a really more of a sharp, crisp highlight, then the lift out rubber tools here work really well. And that gets more of a crisp edge, kind of slightly brighter highlight. And then the rag or even the Q-tip is going to give you a softer effect, kind of a softer highlight, softer edge, and a little bit darker highlight. It's not going to be as bright. And then I remembered something. I was watching some drawing classes from Josh Clear on Sentient Academy, and he was actually using a kneaded eraser to lift out some white oil paint in some drawings he was doing. So I thought I'd try that, and that seems to be working really well. So if, look at that, that works better than anything for getting a real bright highlight. So if you don't have access to one of these wipeout tools, don't feel bad, because it looks like the kneaded eraser will do the trick for getting some of those really bright highlights. Just put something down here, and then obviously you're not going to want to use your kneaded eraser for your pencil drawings or charcoal drawings after this, but they're pretty cheap, so maybe just tear a chunk off of one that you got and you can use that. Oh, and if you do make a really sharp highlight and you don't want that edge to be that sharp, that's not really a big deal. You can soften it out with your rag or a brush or your finger or something. So, okay, I think that's the last little pointer I got. Okay, so some other things that occurred to me as I'm working on this. I have done this technique before, but not that often, so I'm still kind of learning. The spray fix seemed to make the paint slip a little bit more on the canvas, so keep that in mind. I started putting some of these darks in, and once you put the tone down and let it set for 15-20 minutes or so, it starts to set up a little bit more, and so it's not going to be slipping quite as much. And then another thing I thought about is I can add dark as long as I'd like to on this, but I only have a certain amount of time to pick out the highlights. So I decided to switch gears in the beginning here and focus on picking out the lights and developing that side of it. And then I'm going to let this dry and set up, and then I'll come back with that paint and start adding some more of the darks in there. This is day 2. This is where I left it off last night, and this morning the wash still could lift a little bit, but it's set up a lot nicer now, so I'm going to start putting in some more of the shadows and develop more of that full value range. Something I didn't mention yet, but focus on the 3 main value families, so your lights, your midtones, and your shadows. You can have more values than that, but focus on those main 3. And yesterday as I was working, you might have noticed I used a stick here to rest my hand. That's because anytime I would put my finger on the wet wash, it would lift it up. So if you wanted to use a stick or something to steady your hand away from the canvas, that's going to prevent you from accidentally lifting up any of the value where you didn't want to in the first place. Okay, so I'm going to get back to it here.